In this video, you will see an example of how to complete the registration form in the enrollment portal. The first thing that you're going to do is enter your name. I'm going to be a sample student, so I'm going to call her Maria Sample. If you have a middle initial, go ahead and put that. If you don't, you can leave it blank. In which program are you enrolling? Either you are learning English with us, or you're anything else, which is adult basic education. So choose which one applies to you. In this example, I will be adult basic education because I'm going to be a student looking for a high school equivalency diploma. Next, at which location do you wish to enroll? Maria will choose Lafayette. You can choose any of these. The last 4 digits of your social security number, if you have that, go ahead and enter that. If you don't have it, it's okay. You can leave it blank. Have you studied with Laura before? If you say no, you can move right on to the next question. If you say yes, it will ask you when you studied. So you can just say fall or spring and the year that you studied. In my example, I'm going to say no and move on. Next, you want to enter an accurate address. It's very important that you enter an accurate address so that if we send you something, you will get that in the mail. So enter everything completely, including zip code. And then I want you to be really accurate with your cell phone number as well, because this is something that we use to communicate with you, not only through calls, but a lot of our important messages will come through text messages. So please make sure that's an accurate number. The same is true of an email. Please use an email address that is accurate and that you check often, because we will often send things to you through email. We ask that you enter it twice, once and then again, to make sure that both of those match and that you have accurate emails entered. Maria's birth date is November 8th, 1975. So you're going to, from the drop-down menu, choose your birth date from the drop-down. And then Maria is female, but you're going to choose the gender that applies to you. Next, we're going to pretend that an emergency contact for Maria is her husband, Carlos. Now I'm going to enter his information, and again, enter that information carefully, because this is something that we will use to get a hold of you if we can't get a hold of you through your number. So it doesn't have to necessarily be a spouse or even a family member. It can be anyone who is a reliable source that could get a hold of you if they needed to. So make sure you think about that and put a good, reliable person in there and accurate information for their contact information. Next, we're going to ask about ethnicity. Choose the one that applies to you. Maria is Mexican American, so she's going to choose that. You can choose anything that applies or other if there's another one. Race, you can choose any of these choices, or if none of those describe you, you can even check that box. We ask if you're a U.S. citizen, not because you have to be. So know that you don't have to be a citizen in order to enroll with us. But we do want to know if you are or aren't, so that we can give you resources that can help you if you're not a citizen. So choose yes or no on whether or not you're a U.S. citizen, and it does not prevent you from being enrolled in our program. Your country of origin, that means where were you born? You were either born in the U.S. or somewhere else. In my example, I'm going to say that Maria was born in Mexico. Next, it asks what primary language is spoken at home. Even if you speak English at school or in public, but you speak a different language at home, enter your home language there. So what you speak to your family members with. Next, for educational status, we are going to ask whether you had school location in the U.S. or outside the U.S. So I'm going to say in the U.S. for Maria. And current educational status, you're going to choose the one that applies to you. You did not graduate. You got a high school equivalency diploma or GED, or you graduated high school and you got a diploma, or you might even have post-secondary certification after high school, some college, or college or professional degree. If you choose that you have a degree, it's going to ask which degree and what field of study. For this example, I'm going to say that Maria did not graduate high school because she wants her high school equivalency diploma. So then you're going to say the last grade you completed. In this case, I'm going to say 11th grade for Maria. If you completed school, you can say 12th grade. If you completed college, you can put 12 plus. The last school you attended. So I'm going to put a sample school in there. You put the last school that you attended. I'm going to say New Horizon High School in Lafayette, Indiana. You put the location and the name of the last school you attended. Which statement describes you? So first, we're going to ask if either you're able to work or you're not able to work. So choose one of those. Next, it's going to get a little more specific. Select the employment status that best describes you. So are you currently employed? Are you currently employed but seeking a new job, or you're looking for new employment? Or are you unemployed and seeking employment? Or are you unemployed but not seeking employment? If you say you're employed, you can see a drop-down menu there that's going to ask for your employer's name and the month and year that you were hired. You can give your best estimate of this. It's okay if you're not really clear, just get as close as you can. If you say that you're unemployed, it's going to ask you, have you been unemployed for more than 6 months? Yes or no? So in this example, I'm going to say I'm unemployed, but no, it has not been more than 6 months. You choose what applies to you. The next set of questions has to do with your temporary assistance for needy families eligibility. So the first thing asks, do you have a dependent or are you a dependent? So if you said yes to either of those, click yes. If you don't have a dependent and you're not anyone else's dependent, click no. I'm going to say yes for Maria. We're going to pretend like she's in a family with 3 kids. Now, the next one says the number of people in your household. If she's married to Carlos and she has 3 kids and she counts herself, that's going to be 5. So make sure you include yourself in the number in your household. Next, it's going to ask for your monthly household income. So you can take what you make in a year and divide it by 12, or you could take your hourly rate and figure out how many hours you work per month and give us your best estimate there. Again, this is just an estimate, so as best you can do is just fine. Next, check all that apply for any of these statements. So anything that applies, you want to put a check mark next to. The first ask if you have a physical, mental, or learning impairment. So this applies to if you had a learning disability in school, if you have a physical disability, anything that's an impairment that is a disability that you've had, you want to check that. Next, you're going to either check you live in an urban area or a rural area. Urban area is in the city, so I'm going to say that's where Maria lives. A rural area is an area with less than 1,000 people, so for example, so choose yours, whether you live in the city or outside of the city. Next, click if you receive public assistance. So these questions seem really personal, but they help us to locate some resources that might be available to you. So answer them as honestly as possible. So if you receive public assistance, go ahead and check that. Low income, check that if you don't believe you make enough money to pay all the bills you have. You can check that. A displaced homemaker is someone who was a homemaker and then they've lost a spouse either through them leaving the home or a death in the family, and now you have to go back into the workforce. If that applies to you, click that box. If not, leave it blank. Are you a single parent? Are you a dislocated worker? That means, was your company relocated elsewhere and did you get laid off because of that? If so, click that box. Next, ask if you're a youth in foster care or a youth who is homeless. Any of those you want to go ahead and check because we want to get as accurate information as we can so we can connect you with resources. The next one asks if you're active military. That's either yes or no, but if your spouse is active military, you can click that as well. So in this case, I'm going to say no for my example. And then for vocational rehabilitation, now chances are if you've not heard of it, then you probably don't have it. So you could click no or unknown if you're truly not sure. But vocational rehab is a service that is available to you, and if you've had it before, click yes. In this example, I'm going to click no. Wagner-Pizer employment. Wagner-Pizer employment services means that you're getting help with a job search through employment services. So say yes or no, or you're not sure to that. Next, it asks about migrant or seasonal farm worker. So migrant or migrant and seasonal, or do you have a dependent that is? If any of those are true, click those check boxes. If it's not, say no. The next asks if you are a convicted felony offender. So be honest about this because, again, we can connect you with some resources if that's the case. So make sure you really answer these honestly. These are kept confidential, so it'll just be you entering this information and us seeing that and seeing if we can help you with some services. So yes or no. If you do say yes, it's going to ask if you're a convicted sex offender and click yes or no to that. If you click no, you can move on to the next question. The last question is, do you believe that you have cultural barriers that are barriers to your employment? So click yes if you believe that's the case, no if you do not, or if you're not sure, you can say unknown. Next is the agreement part. So when you click this box right here, you're certifying that all the information you provided is accurate and complete to the best of your knowledge. If you intentionally give false information, it could result in us invalidating your test or dismissing you from the program. So please make sure this is the best of your knowledge and the best answers you can give and honest answers. And then please note that all of this information is for our confidential records only. So due to legislation policy, adult education is not permitted to serve students who are on F1 visa or certain criminal offenders who cannot be served due to legal restrictions of being around other people. So just make sure that you understand that and that you agree that this is the best of your knowledge, true and accurate, and then go ahead and sign by typing your name at the bottom. And that is how you fill out the registration form. When you're done, click Next Step, and it will take you to the next lesson in your portal.